let some people get in there. Get in there. You need your Tempcast hat and Tempcast shirt on, represent.
Yeah, one of these days. I'll have that.
So people, it takes them. So we're live right now, so it'll take a few minutes for people to start coming in here.
Sure.
But we can start talking. You start talking about it because it'll replay it and then they'll see.
Oh, sure.
So this is my buddy Patrick from the company Tempcast. He's owner, operator, installer. He does it all. So I'm gonna let Patrick tell you a little bit about what he's got going on with this screen. You're sideways. Well, that's not good.
I think you can play.
Oh, it turned it around. How come it's not rotating, guys? Well, we're doing a live stream horizontal, I guess. I've never done that before. Is that better? So, yeah, that's good.
That works.
Okay. So this is my buddy Patrick, and he's going to tell you a little bit about his company, what he does.
Yep. So, I own Tempcast masonry heaters. I own, we're a masonry heater manufacturing company. We build these core kits that we used at Sean's house here. We do, I do installations. Tempcast does not do installations, but I personally do installations. So I guess what do I do? I mean,
So the masonry heater. So you bought the company several years back.
Yep.
And what the masonry heater is before, you were telling me you guys would just build these out of brick.
Yes.
The company you bought actually sells the molds.
Yes. So we have the modular pieces. So all
Okay.
kind of like if you've been watching the pieces that fit together, we make those in our molds, and it just saves a ton of time. It also just speeds up the process. And
They said, Patrick, speak up.
okay.
Man, you guys are demanding tonight. We'll get it closer.
Yeah. It speeds the process up. It also, it just gives you a great product. It's very consistent. It's great for installers. It's great for do-it-yourselfers. And that's our aim, is to make it a very do-it-yourself friendly kit. It's, there's only 37 pieces. Most of them are numbered and they're keyed and they just go together like Lego blocks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it's been around for over 30 years. I just purchased it a few years back.
Okay, so give a brief history about, like you're telling me overseas in Europe and Russia and all them other places,
Yeah.
how popular they are.
Oh yes, I mean, so many people haven't heard of masonry heaters in America. I'm one of, I think, 60 or less certified heater masons with the Masonry Heater Association of North America over the last 30 years.
Man.
I think there's less than 40 of us still working. But, so it's not very popular in America, but it should be. In Europe, it's a multi-million-dollar industry. Companies like Ortner is a company over in Europe produces. So they're very common. They call them a little bit different. They have a different name for them. They call them stoves as opposed to masonry heaters. But I've met some people from Austria through the MHA, Masonry Heater Association, and they're heater masons in Austria, and they said, and this was back in 2013, they said, in Austria, if someone wants to be a heater mason, when they're in high school at 15 years old, they can start that VOTEC training.
Yeah, that's awesome.
As common as carpentry. There's over 1 million masonry heaters in a country that has a population of about 8 million.
Oh wow!
So it's a huge industry.
Yeah.
And so 1 million people heat with wood.
Man, it's crazy. It's so much popular over there than it is here. And like we were talking, like people just don't know about them. Whenever you guys reached out and were talking to me about them, I was like, man, I've heard of this. This is awesome. I gotta have this. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's how I thought when I heard about it.
Yeah, you bought the company. So someone asked, is it better than a wood stove? So you can just go over what this does. You don't have to say it's better than a wood stove. You it speaks for itself.
Well, let's just say that the efficiencies were the same, and then what about the pollution or whatever? Let's just say that a very efficient wood burning stove might have, let's just call it 1 gram per hour of emissions, and let's say a masonry heater has the same thing. The difference is, for a wood burning stove to heat your house, it has to be lit and burning for 24 hours a day. As soon as it goes out, the heat's gone. For a masonry heater, it's lit for 2.5 hours. It's just one fire. It's one armload of wood, about 50 pounds of wood, and it burns hot about 1,600 degree fires, and it's out in 2 to 2.5 hours, and then you shut your damper and you walk away, and you don't light another fire for 8 to 10 hours. And so instead of burning 24 hours a day, you're burning 4 to 5 hours a day.
That's with 2 fires at the
fires.
most.
Two fires at most per day. And the BTU output is very, very consistent. You're going to get 20 to 24,000 BTUs per hour every hour. So you can have a fire at 7 o'clock at night. It goes out by 9:30. It's nice and toasty in the house. You go to bed, wake up, come out. The heater's just as warm as when you went to bed.
Isn't that crazy? Because that was a big deal whenever we lived in the pole barn. We had a buck stove, a big one, and I would have to load it up before I went to work. But then it would get so hot, it would burn Brandy out of the house. They'd have to open windows, open doors.
Yeah.
And then she'd have to continue feeding it. And I'd be lucky sometimes if there was still a fire going when I got home during the winter whenever we're running it all the time. With this, you light one fire, go to bed, wake up. The fire's been out for hours, but it's still the same temperature.
Right.
So then you can light another fire.
Right.
And then, it's crazy.
Because the mason flue channel's on the inside, and instead of just sending the heat up the chimney, you're storing it inside of that mass. And so if you heat 8,000 pounds, just imagine if you had a rock that was 180 degrees in your house and it was 8,000 pound rock. It just takes a long time to cool it down.
Yeah. So someone was asking how many square feet will this heat up? Because you guys sell a basic core.
Yeah.
You got, well, we won't go into that. I said you sell a bigger one. You sell a basic core.
Yeah.
And can you tell them how much square foot it would do? And then the bedrooms, they asked about the bedrooms, and we talked about leaving the door open.
Yeah. So it's a little bit, it's not an easy question in one sense, because let's suggest that you have, a 1940s or 50s style house, and it's all compartmentalized, and there's doors on every room. It's three levels. It's very difficult to uniformly heat that area because this is a radiant heat source. It heats like the sun. So kind of like whatever it sees, if it can physically see, it's directly heating objects. It's not warming. It does warm air. So you're going to get, I would say maybe 30% of your heat from warm air that can just circulate throughout the house naturally with natural convection. But the bulk of the heat is going to be from radiant heat, and so it's directly heating you. So where these really thrive is in a more of an open floor plan.
Use fans in the bedrooms, reverse them?
You can, yep, certainly. It works well in an open floor plan where the heater's kind of in the middle of the room. Oftentimes we build them between a kitchen and a living room. We'll put the bake oven on the kitchen side, firebox on the living room side. And it's just a great way to kind of divide space without actually putting a wall there and then using that mass to heat all of that. And you'll get some heat that goes upstairs for sure.
Yeah.
But you want to put the heater where you want it to be, where you want to enjoy it, because wherever you put it, that's where everybody goes.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
You put it downstairs, everybody's going downstairs. So, doesn't matter how nice your house is upstairs, when you're having a party, everybody's downstairs with the heater.
Here comes Brandy sneaking on in over here. Are you jumping on?
No, I'm just going to read you guys some questions.
Okay, Brandy's going to read us some questions. And then
can't fit over there.
And we're actually, at the end of this, we're going to talk about a big issue we have with the rock manufacturer, with the rock and stone that we got. And I'll let Pat tell you how difficult it is.
Well, that was one of the questions. Paula was saying, have you reached your timeline? So I was going to say,
Let's just talk about it now, Pat.
You were going good on your
Sure.
timeline.
Yeah, so we're struggling with the stone. The timeline, I think, honestly, was probably reasonable.
I think it was right on.
But you want to show like where we are at?
No, grab a couple stones and show the difference, and I'll explain to them.
These two right here are great. Grab that. So this is supposed to be a dry stack stone. All right, these two stones are the same size.
And they're not.
They're not.
But they're not.
They're 3/8 of an inch different.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's absolutely huge. If they're more than a 1/16, the dry stack isn't going to work.
Yeah.
And so this has been a problem all day. We've been trying to dry stack this, and we have to cut everything. We've got to check everything, and even then, it's just not working.
It's taken way longer than it should have. Like we'd probably be finishing up today, and talking to Brandy, and then talking to Pat. We want Brandy, we want you to be as happy. We want you to love it. So I think me and Pat are probably on the same page. Is we probably need to go a different route, don't you think?
If you want a thin dry, if you don't want
that's what Brandy likes, and whatever Brandy likes, that's what I want to go with. I don't want her being upset.
I was wanting to say, Paula was asking about the timeline, because I want them to see, I think you guys were on schedule.
Yeah.
Okay, you
If
were
this
for
was,
sure.
Yep.
well, I was just saying,
Now we have
I think
videos
he-
coming out on this, so we're kind of giving it.
I see.
So I
so
didn't really want to show all of
he was
it.
on
Sure.
schedule.
Let's go over. We'll just show this little piece right. Let me turn this around.
So this is more what you were thinking it was.
Yes,
gonna be
Brandy.
like.
This is what we thought was going to all look like.
Right.
Right there, right?
So that looks, I mean, it looks good.
Yeah. But so the issue we're having, the manufacturer, and you can't just open that pallet up and look at everything and measure everything.
No.
So it's just becoming a big issue.
It's just taking them a lot of time.
Yes, and this is what we pretty much this right here. That's the look that we picked out. I like this look.
No,
I think
I
it's
do too.
really
I do
rustic,
too.
but it's so much work for Patrick, and it's just time consuming.
Yep.
It's unnecessary, really, if they would just send us the right stuff.
Right.
Well,
If
what
we
I
knew
was
this-
gonna say on there is, I don't know if you can see me.
No, right here, come here.
Watch
out, Pat, Randy, get
No,
in.
I was just gonna say on there, I don't want it to, because he had this timeline and showing you that it's very much do it yourself. This side of it is not. But
Not
that,
with this.
But that was not what was expected. So I don't want you to think that it's something you can't. The product we got was just not what it should have been, and so that's why it's taking his expertise to cut like every piece.
There ain't no way I could have
Yeah.
done this.
No,
like
no.
patented it. There ain't no way.
So that's the.
So that's the
problem.
part of that.
So we'll talk about that more in another video. So right now, what's some questions that we can get past?
Oh,
as we
okay,
got back here?
so I've heard a couple of people ask it, and he's addressed it, but they're asking about it being by the wall.
Yep.
They're asking about the heat and all that. So
Yeah,
that's one
yeah.
that's popped up.
Yep. So the masonry heater, our kit is designed according to the ASTM spec E1602, which gives certain tolerances for thicknesses of walls and things like that. And if you follow that, then your clearance to combustible wall is 4 inches. And so we pulled it 4.25 off the wall, just in case anything wanders. So we're allowed that. And you're also allowed to finish a wing wall actually to the combustible wall as long as the wing wall is within
Will this
8
be the
inches
wing?
of the quarter.
Would that be the wing wall? Right there?
Exactly. So the part that's actually finished to the wall is a wing wall. It's not the actual heater. The heater is 4.25 behind.
Yeah.
You just don't see that. It looks like the
Yes,
heater is finished to the wall, but that's the point of the wing wall. Make it look like it's finished all the way to the wall.
It looks amazing.
So, yes. So, and this wall it can be made out of anything combustible, standard building materials. You don't have to use metal studs or
You don't even have to have drywall
Cement-
up, right?
cement board.
If we didn't have to put the drywall up, if you didn't really want
I
to.
suppose not.
Yeah.
I mean, I think code probably requires you to
should.
have sheathing.
You probably should
You
put
probably
sheathing
have to
on
have
that.
sheathing on your walls. But one way, when you have a masonry heater like this up against a wall, one way to passively collect heat into another room, like over here, is you could put a vent at the bottom on the floor and draw the cold air in the backside of the heater, because there's a 4-inch by 32-inch channel of air back there. So you could have an air vent that would open up to under the floor side, and you could have an air vent at the top,
It would suck it up.
and it would just naturally convect around. So that's one way to kind of get heat over to this room if you wanted to do that.
Okay.
Yep.
So there's one thing I wasn't going to tell Brandy about that you mentioned. We could have ran this bench all through the house, Pat said. We would have heated
goodness.
benches everywhere. So
Well,
technically, you can run it at a certain
I mean,
distance.
you can, yes, but the bypass damper is 100% necessary, even for a bench this size. It's
Yeah.
enormous. If you run a bench more than 5 or 6 feet, you have to have a bypass damper because. So you have to have a bypass damper.
You can take it real quick and I'll yeah. All right, Pat, we got questions answered.
I'm trying to think.
Look here, Brandy.
Well, some of them he might have to answer. Oh, I do know one I've seen a lot was about the chimney, and that's just because you haven't showed that yet
Yeah, it's-
in the video.
so I have-
there's been a lot of people like,
Okay.
there's no chimney, there's no chimney.
I have a video coming out tomorrow, and then I got to edit another one, and then today's video. So we're gonna have like 4 or 5 videos on this build because it just takes a long time to get this going and stuff. So yeah, there'll be and we answer questions in each video as we get them. We're talking about stuff as we're building it. He's talking about this and that. He talks about that.
I guess the first video just doesn't show that side.
Mhm.
It shows it in rock, but it doesn't show that there is a chimney.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So there is. It's just. We'll show you. I don't want to show you the whole thing because it's going to
Yeah.
ruin everything.
well, and then another question, which I feel like you can kind of answer it. They're asking if the wood would get hot in here, So, how are you saying it? It's not like if you touched a wood stove, like a buck stove, it's not that hot. So I feel like the wood
Okay.
would be the same.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
going to be some transfer of heat,
Yes.
but it's not going to like burn you if you pick up the wood.
Yes. So this puts off a radiant heat, and I think he said it doesn't get over
It was like
180 or 160.
Yeah.
The whole thing, it never gets over that because of the thickness of the stone and the heat and all that. We'll let Pat discuss this.
So they were asking about like if the wood would get hot in the
So
wood box.
This wood box, they're talking about if you put the wood in there, is it going to get hot?
It'll warm up.
It'll warm up
But
the
not
same
like-
temperature as.
Yeah.
You ain't going to burn it like a wood stove.
No, the outside temperature of your heater is probably going to be, I mean, our goal is to get it around about 160
Okay.
degrees.
That's what
160
you
degrees
taught him. That's what
Yeah.
he said.
Pay attention.
So it's a very comfortable heat. Like if you've got your t-shirt
Yeah.
on, you'll be leaning right up.
The
against
girls
your
will be
heater
taking a
all the time.
nap on their own bed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Lily.
And so, I mean, from a manufacturing standpoint, I wouldn't probably be able to offer, well, I could always offer this box. I probably wouldn't be able to call it a wood storage box.
Yeah, yeah. So-
it's so common. If you look up pictures of masonry heaters, you see wood storage all the time. So paper doesn't even combust to 440 degrees.
Yeah, so there's nothing to worry
And so
about.
even if you burn this all day long, you would never get the outside of this to 400 degrees. You wouldn't even get it to 250 degrees.
That's awesome.
So it's just the saturation point is so, the walls are so thick
Yeah.
that to get this, the outside temperature to 250 or 300 degrees, I mean, you'd have to like just be blast firing
Wow.
it nonstop.
So you just, like a wood stove, you're just feeding it all day, trying to get it that
Yeah,
hot.
yeah, because we burn at, it's a 1600 degree fire in there.
Yeah.
It's designed to burn optimally. Wood burning stoves are not, because if you had a 1500 degree fire in a wood burning stove, nobody would be in the room. It'd be ridiculous.
That's what I was telling Granny, how you have to go out of the house because
Yes.
it would get so hot.
Yeah, and so that's why, a wood burning stove is designed to choke the fire, and that's what causes, incomplete combustion and, inefficiencies.
So the problem, and I call it a problem, about these masonry, there's a big problem with these masonry heaters that people don't know about.
There's one.
You know what it is? They don't know about them.
That's right.
You knew where I was going with that, didn't you?
Or they
No,
want, they
it's
want
probably
one.
He was hoping I was going there. So hardly anyone knows about how efficient these are. You talk it up.
Yeah, well, I mean,
you sold me on it. I love it.
We were just talking about the heat of the burn, right? So
Mhm.
with a wood burning stove, there's always a fear of creosote.
Yeah. Oh, good point.
Okay,
Yes,
with these,
everyone
there's
has
not.
that.
We're burning over 1,000 degrees. We're burning over 1,200 degrees. At that temperature, creosote doesn't form. You're still going to get some black soot that it's just like a very light ashy soot that'll form, but you'll never get creosote, which is just a scaly black hard material that forms on the inside of chimneys and things. So but that's contingent on only one thing, and that's that you burn properly seasoned wood. You need wood that is 20% moisture content or less. And so what it takes to do that is to cut and split and stack it under a shelter of some kind to keep it dry for at least 6 months. But if you use something that if you cut this spring and you want to burn this coming winter with it, you better have a moisture meter
Check
because
it.
you're going to be close. You might make it. Some species of wood will make it. Other species of wood will not. Red oak will never make it. Red oak rarely makes it in a year.
That's crazy.
So, but a year is a better practice.
Okay, so I actually got a question, and I told you about this. There's hey, can you burn green? Are you going to burn in green wood, or you're not supposed to burn green wood?
Yeah.
Well, I used to in my wood stove, and we talked about this,
Yeah.
and it would build up. And I knew it because that's all we had was some. I do like 10 dry and 2 green. You know what I mean? So I didn't do a whole lot, but I still had build up, and I'd walk by my stove and just hit it.
Yeah.
It'd all fall down, and I clean and all that stuff.
Right.
So with this, he's saying, don't even get one if you plan on burning green wood.
That's right.
Just
Don't get
don't
one.
do it.
Don't get one. It is not your appliance if you're going to burn green wood. If
So-
you're going to burn wet wood at all, it
Don't
doesn't
do
even
it.
not green. I mean, if you're just going to think you're going to throw like wet wood out of a snowy wood pile in
Yeah,
there,
yeah. I've done that in the wood. I've done that in the butt.
it's not your appliance.
Yep.
You need properly seasoned wood. You need dry wood. It's got to be 20% moisture content
And
or
that's
less.
that's a big deal.
And it's a big deal because if you plug these flue channels with creosote, it's a much bigger deal to clean this. We have all of the cleanouts ready for you so that you can, but you don't want to have your chimney sweep do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got almost 1,000 people in here. If you guys could, my friends at Walker Farm family, I don't know, is there any other
Yeah, they've
moderators
been-
in here?
she's been
Paul?
sharing it.
All right, so she's been sharing her link. If you could share that again, go after this or whenever, go right now, click that link and go subscribe to their channel. I think they got 1 or 2 videos out there, and they're going to have a lot more because he's got so many builds going on. He's going to have a cool time lapse over there. You guys, they just started. They're like 12 subscribers. So if you guys, we want to get them up to over 1,000 subscribers. That would be such a big deal if you guys could do that for us. So there's the link. click it, and I'm going to share it when this video's over. I'm going to share it in every video that I post about this heater. I was telling them, I think I got like 5 videos I'm going to post on it. We've got one coming out tomorrow. I'm editing another one. We're filming one today. I got that. We got a bunch. So there'll be links in all of those. Go subscribe to them. If you guys are into the off-grid, the wood stuff, just self-reliance things.
We didn't even talk about the cooking part of this.
That's the best part.
That's-
If it didn't have a cooking, guys, if you don't get a cooking one, don't buy it. I'm telling you. No. I'll tell you one thing though. Once you see one in person with the cook chamber and then with the bench, you gotta have that. It's like, I gotta have that. So all right, I'm gonna let him talk about the cooking, give all the details about the cooking. We got about 8 minutes left because and then you go for it.
That's fine too. And then speaking of other channels, Tempcast has a channel too for YouTube, and we're going to be doing.
That's what I was talking about.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah. So we're going to be doing a full build as well. We're going to
Awesome.
We're going to transform our closet into a masonry heater.
It's gonna be amazing.
So
That's
we're
the
gonna be
link.
doing full foundation, the whole bit. So
It's gonna be great. So that's the link they're sharing right
Oh,
now.
okay.
That they're clicking on to go subscribe to you.
Okay.
So after you talk about the cooking thing, I want to talk about subfloors.
Okay, yeah.
So we need to.
Okay, yep, here we go. So cooking is great because with the masonry heater with the oven above it, the flue gases, smoke, fire, whatever you want to call it, passes right through that bake oven and heats it up to 500 to 700 degrees after a fire. It'll stay at give it half an hour, 45 minutes. It'll start to get down to the high level of baking temperatures, and you'll be at 350 to 450 degrees for probably 3 to 5 hours
That's
for
crazy.
standard baking. But as far as slow cooking goes, you can slow cook for literally 24 hours after one fire's up. So you could have a fire tonight, tomorrow morning, some point, just load up
Put a
your
roast
crock
in.
pot, throw your roast in, pull it out for dinner the next day,
That's amazing.
and it's perfect.
That's
It's wonderful.
awesome.
So you can cook that way. You can also just light a fire in the bake oven itself if you want to do pizzas or something
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
Get it ultra hot.
So can you put a little temperature gauge inside there when put like in the
Absolutely.
oven?
Yeah, I pull it out when the fire's actually
Okay.
going. But if you have a
Right.
pizza thermometer, then that's kind of designed for those temperatures. So that's absolutely. Yep.
Okay, so the pizza. I'm gonna be making videos just on us making stuff. Hopefully, if I ever eat, Brandy needs to make some keto bread so I can actually eat it.
Yeah.
So
You
I
know,
bet,
a lot of people are really into like artisan breads.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Like the round one,
in
my uncle does
wood-fired
that.
oven. Yep.
Ah.
Yeah. So
Is this not done yet? Because I want to fire this thing up. Hey,
fine.
so one thing since it's
I'll
on my
also
mind.
tell you with cooking too. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Brandy.
Well, someone was asking about the wood you use. Would it have that flavor?
I would think so.
Like,
Mhm, yeah.
because they were asking about that as far as
if you're cooking,
Don't cook with pine.
when the fire's burning.
like a
But like if you're just cooking and fire's out, there's no fire going. It's just a hot space.
Yeah.
It's just an oven. There's no smoke in there.
Hey, so I got friends in Idaho and they burn a lot of pine and things like that. Have sap. How does that work in
It's
this?
just fine, but you're just going to burn twice as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So which is okay.
Yeah. So if you burn pine, it's totally acceptable. There's no problem with any kind of wood species. Most wood species have very close to the same BTUs per pound. So it's all about the poundage. We're going to shoot for around 50 pounds of wood for a load, and they can be pine. If it's pine, you're gonna you'll fill the. You don't want to stuff it full, but you'll have a decent load of wood in the fire. It'll burn all the way down. You let it get down to about 1 inch of coals on the bottom, and then you would just load the rest of the wood in there and let that burn down again.
Okay.
And the point of getting the coals down is so that you want to cook the coals off, because hot coals that just sit and smolder on a cast iron grate or against your refractory components is what burns them up the quickest.
Okay. So my buddy Kevin came over yesterday from Midnight's Farm, and he's like, "Man, this thing's awesome." But he tried to pull a fast one on old Patrick here, and Patrick wasn't having it. Remember what he said to you? He goes, "I see one flaw in this," and he said, "What did he say?"
Said there's no way to clean out the ashes because you always have a fire burn, and how do you clean your ashes though? You got to stop the fire.
Well, explain what because he has a wood stove. I used to have
Yeah.
one, so explain that and go into it.
So he's got a wood stove, so his fire's always got to be burning in order to have heat. So he assumed this was the same way,
Mhm.
and so he assumed that because there's not like a drawer to pull out the ashes, then you have to shut the fire down and then lose heat so you can clean it out. And the point is, our unit is shut off for 10 hours a day anyway.
Yeah.
It's
That was your answer.
Great. So I mean it's
There's no fire in there.
There's no fire for 10 hours a day.
And he goes,
And that's on
yeah.
2 fires a day.
And Kevin goes, "Well, that makes sense then." That's the stuff people don't know.
Right.
Because we're so, as Americans, we don't see these.
And we do have an ash pit. I mean,
Oh, there's a big ash pit.
You don't have to clean this out for 2-3 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
So,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Here was a
And I
good
get really
question.
lazy. I kind of compress.
But you know,
Yeah.
well,
Here was a good question. They said, Is the oven cook area just usable during cooler time of year? So I guess they're meaning like, are you gonna get burned out of here, or can you just use
I would
it
just use it during the winter
anytime?
personally.
During the winter is when you're going to use it, because we don't have a bypass damper from the oven to the chimney. So if you burn in the oven, it's still going to go down the downdraft channels and move out to
Okay.
the chimney. So it's still going to heat up the outside.
Okay.
It's not going to heat up as much because you're bypassing the entire firebox and
Yeah.
the throat, but it will heat up. But if you wanted to, I suppose you could. You just probably have your air conditioner on too.
But here's
You
the
could have a
thing.
pizza party, but you just
Yeah.
have the
They're
AC
gonna see
run.
me making videos next summer just sweating to death.
Well, you could do it. It's not going to be as intense. It's something you could do. Just have a fire in there, a good hour or hour and a half long fire, and you could have that oven up to 1,000 degrees so that you could be like, running
Yeah.
pizzas through real quick, and it's not going to like get really super hot.
Yeah.
But it's
I
you
was like,
could
that
do
was
it.
a good question.
You could do it.
Yeah.
But
So-
you're going to run your AC too.
So one question I've been saying before we get off here, hey guys, thanks for going over there subscribing. People are saying they're subscribing to your channel,
Oh, cool.
and I think you're up to 86 subscribers. Let's get them to 1,000.
87.
A little bit at a time, but one question that I've been seeing is, I can't get one of these. They want to know how heavy it is,
Yep.
and per square. Well, you'll know all the answers to that.
Yep.
And they want to know, can I put this in my house because I have a crawl space? How do
Subfloor,
can I
that's-
subfloor? Can I do that?
Right. Yeah, you can, but you can't put it on the wood floor. So they're 7,000 to 8,000 pounds when they're finished. If you have a big bench like this one here, you might be more 8,000 to 10,000 pounds. So you have to put in a foundation. Typically, the way that we do this is we lay like a 12-inch block wall foundation, or you can get away with an 8-inch, but 12 is a little bit easier because with 12 you got a 4-inch bearing for your joists. Excuse, you got to cut the hole in your floor for the joist, and you have to pour a concrete pad on top of the block, and then that is the concrete pad that you're going to build your heater on top of.
Okay.
So you can't support your floor with a foundation.
So you can't just go underneath it and put a bunch of brick or whatever.
You can't. No, because
Okay.
your combustible is too close.
That makes sense.
Yep. 'Cause
So
then
it
you're
can
right
be,
on top
if
of
you
the
really
combustible.
want one of these,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
can be done.
Yeah, and we do it.
He's done it.
It's just one of those things where, I charge. I would guess it's going to cost you, depending upon your situation, $2,000 to $3,000 to have that foundation put in.
That's really not that bad for one of these.
Unless, and this is the thing with retrofits, if you've got electrical, plumbing, HVAC, or gas lines in the joist space, or
Yeah.
like a water heater right below it. I did one time where we had all that. Water heater directly below it, and we had all the appliances on that
What'd
floor.
you do?
We moved it all.
So my uncle asked me, can you put this in the corner? We kind of hit that question. Like you could pretty much put these.
You can put them anywhere, sure. It's they just perform better in certain locations.
Okay.
Bigger, the more centrally located you can put it in your house, the better. And something to think about as well, your chimney. It has to stay in the house as long as possible.
Someone just asked that, where's the smoke go? There's no chimney. You guys, I've only posted one video because I posted the second one that messed up. So we got one out there, two's going out tomorrow, and we're showing all that stuff. So just follow along on this series, and then go to Pat's channel and watch his stuff. You guys will see all the details about it. So
Gotta have a chimney. The smoke has to get out of the house.
has to go somewhere.
Yep.
Is there any other questions, Brandy?
That's the main thing.
Was there anything that you would want to tell them?
Yeah. I think as far as the chimney goes too, it does have to stay in the house. You can't like kick it out of the house at floor level and then have it go out of the house, because draft is the pressure that's created by the difference in temperature inside your chimney pipe and outside air temperature. And if those two temperatures are the same, you have no draft, and you'll never get the smoke out of the house.
Okay.
Yep.
So here, this is what I want Patrick to do. I've never heard of this, Patrick. You kind of gave a rundown, and you want to sell this to me.
Yeah.
What are you going to tell me to buy this thing?
Well, you probably come to me first and say, I'd like a fireplace.
Okay.
And I tell you that, fireplaces are extremely inefficient, but there's masonry heaters are the option that you really want to look
Okay.
at. They are the most efficient thing that you can burn. As far as wood goes, masonry heaters have almost no carbon footprint whatsoever because they just burn so cleanly. Like I said, in Austria, it's not a smogulous place.
Mhm.
It's very pristine mountains, and they got over 1 million people burning wood. And so,
Wow.
like when you see your chimney pipe in the wintertime when you're burning, it's just clear. Nobody would know you're having a
That's
fire.
what you're telling me. You can't even see the smoke except like the first 10 minutes or something.
There's no visible smoke.
Yeah.
It's just clear flue gases, except for the first 10 to 15 minutes when your fire's cold and it's not burning optimally yet while it's getting hot.
That's
Yep.
awesome.
And so it's very clean, it's very green. You can heat your home, you can cook your food. You can have a beautiful heirloom quality fireplace that actually is efficient, gorgeous to look at, always fun to be around. When we light ours, I mean, all the kids come sit around and we read books. It's just, and I've got 20-year-old and I have a 1-year-old. I mean, everybody comes. It's
Well, you sold me, I want one.
Yep. So, I mean, everything about them is great. You just have to be a responsible user. You have to use wood that's properly seasoned.
That's Derek.
And
Says Pat, tell them what the EPA thinks of masonry heaters.
oh yeah, well the EPA has masonry heaters are the only exempt wood burning appliance that there is. So we're exempt, which means we don't have to have a UL listing. We don't have to be a UL listed appliance in order to be built and to be used. So
what's the UL?
a UL list, UL lists everything. Your stove has, your refrigerator has UL listing.
Okay.
So it's a testing laboratory that certifies
okay.
quality and that.
Because they're so efficient.
They're so efficient. They, like all wood burning stoves have to have a UL list. It has to be certified to a certain efficiency. And the reality is, we've like Colorado, Washington, California have stricter regulations. We're legit to be built in all of the states.
Wow. That speaks a lot for itself.
Yeah. So they are. I mean, ultra efficient. Yeah. The EPA leaves them alone.
Okay.
They just nothing to.
I like that.
Yeah.
So you guys, they got a website also, www.tempcast.com, right?
Yes.
And does it have price listings and all that stuff on that?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so you guys can go check out this website and get all the more details, look at more awesome pictures, fall in love with this thing like me and Randy have. We actually went up to your house, seen everything made back last year sometime, and got to see one he just finished. It's pretty much the same one you're building for us, like identical, minus the rock. But like we got to have this. This is amazing. So yeah, if we didn't think it was such a good thing, and Patrick didn't think it was such a good thing, we wouldn't be here doing this.
Yeah. I mean, yes, there's their cost, right? They're kind of expensive as far as you could just get a wood burning stove or something, but it's also, I think that the longevity of these too, and the fact that they will eventually, especially if you're cutting your own wood, you will eventually pay this thing off and save money.
Yeah.
Because if your wood is free, well then so is your heating bill.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we have people that have had these for over 30 years. We had a guy called me up just to tell me how much he loved it a couple months ago.
That's awesome.
We finally had it swept for the first time in like 27 years.
Wow.
We don't recommend that, by the way. Have it inspected annually. That's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
But the sweep got in there and he was like, this thing looks like it was built yesterday. It's as clean as a whistle in there. Yep.
Crazy.
Yeah. So. Yep.
I did see a couple questions. They came in late. They were asking about the stone. I don't know if they're meaning the actual core itself, but also the outside. So I guess they're just asking what you use or what that is.
Yeah, we didn't explain what you did for me.
Yeah. So the core itself is like our own proprietary refractory mix. So all of the mix itself is designed for easily withstanding 22, 24, 2800 degrees. Masonry heaters just don't get that hot, so the service life on them is huge because we might see 1600 degrees. That's the core. That's what we manufacture. On the outside, we're doing kind of this wrap kit, this concrete wrap kit here. That's something that we are in the experimental stage with, and we tried it out here for Sean for the first time.
How did it go for you?
Very well.
Thank you.
Yeah, liked it a lot. It speeds up the process. As we improve this, I think it's something that will just make it a lot more do-it-yourself.
Well, and if
just count and stack again.
And if the
Instead
homeowner
of
had
having to know how to lay brick.
If the homeowner had the right rock, you could have had this done.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta do your homework.
Exactly, right? One thing, open it up and check everything. Don't just take the manufacturer's word.
The point of the wrap kit too is a trowel is something that for me as a bricklayer took several years to actually get comfortable in my hand and be very good with. So the wrap kit is something that we're using just a caulking gun with our refractory mortar, so that there's just not a need for a trowel. So
I know they've made it look so easy. I mean, he does this for a living. Obviously, it's going to make it look easy when he does it.
Right.
But honestly, like if I had to do it again, it would be a lot more. It would be a lot of work for one person. But if you had your friend over, your father-in-law, or Andy over,
yeah, you'd want a buddy.
You have a couple buddies over. And get your caulking gun and just start caulking things and follow the numbers and put it up in place.
Yeah.
I honestly, if you didn't come down, after seeing how you did it, I think I could have done it no problem.
Yeah, and we have that. I mean, a lot of people call. I take a lot of phone calls. People installing this first time because most people don't install more than one.
Yeah.
And so there's some hesitancy, and they've never done anything like this. But once I talk them through it, they're great. They're ready for a whole week. They think it's going to take them a whole week to get this core up, and it's like, well, I think you might get it done in a day. you know? And lo and behold. They dry stack it first. We recommend that. Just dry stack it.
You did that at your house?
Yep, just dry stack it. And literally, after you've done that, it only takes you a half an hour to dry stack the entire unit, and you realize all you got to do is put mortar in between.
It builds your confidence, dry stack.
It builds your confidence, right? And it gives you a knowledge of what you're doing. So we recommend that, and most people really don't have an issue with it. They find out that they get the core built in a day too. For us, the first time I built one, I think it was a 6-hour build. And now, we're done for 3.5 hours.
This one 3.5 hours.
Yeah, it goes pretty quick.
That's crazy. Yeah, that was awesome.
There's a few people asking about Canada. Can you ship them there?
Oh, yeah,
They're
we ship to
asking if
Canada
you're
all
in
the
Canada.
time. Oh yeah,
Okay.
we ship to Canada all the time. Canada building code is what is it? I forget what code number it is. I could look it up. Send me
There's
an email.
some interested on you.
But hey, put it on your
they-
put it on your
they-
YouTube
they
account.
can, they can. Canada allows. We sell. I bet we sell 25%, 30%
To Canada?
To Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're in Minnesota too, so I mean, it's
Yeah.
closer.
Yeah.
You ship to where'd you say, Australia?
Australia. Yep.
Australia.
Yep.
I don't know the temperatures. I think they're warmer. Someone on here's in Dubai. Do they probably not need one of these in Dubai?
Yeah, you need one. Heck yeah, you need one to buy.
He said good morning. He's
Oh,
in
good morning.
Dubai.
Yeah.
You guys, I think that's all we got for you today. We're gonna have a series of videos coming out over the next several days to a week. So and Pat answers a lot of questions in those too. Sorry for the phone being. Let it be horizontal. Let it be considered
They
horizontal.
said put it in landscape.
I can't. I started it without turning my phone. It was the first time it's ever happened to me. But
You just wanted to sit right next to Pat.
yeah,
I
me and Pat
guess.
want to get closer. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for jumping on here. Walker Farm Fam, thank you for sharing the links. And if there are any other moderators I missed, thank you guys. Thank you, Pat, for coming and working so hard. This man and his boys worked their butt off over the last 4 days. It was something to watch. I kept getting in the way, man. I felt bad. I want to help. I'm like, man, I'm just getting in the way. These guys got a system down. They know what they're doing. And
but it's fun to get in there and do it.
it is.
Yeah. You
But
got your hands dirty.
I did. I got a little dirty. I'll guarantee I wasn't as tired of these guys when they got done. But yeah, go check out Tempcast.com and their YouTube channel is Tempcast. They shared the link. And let's get them up to 1,000 subscribers. I may end up doing a giveaway for them and get them up there. So you guys go get in right now. Leave a comment on that video, and I'm probably going to do a giveaway. But don't fall for the scammers. I'm not gonna say you won in the comments. I'm gonna have you guys email me or something.
And you're not gonna give them one of those.
I'm not giving you.
as the
I'll
giveaway.
probably give a gift card or something like you guys. You need to go get in now and get their subscriber count up for them. So, thank you, Pat.
Yeah, and thanks everybody for watching tonight. I appreciate it very much. So thanks for taking your time to listen to a ball guy.
You did awesome. All right, we'll catch you guys tomorrow. We will have day 2 of the build, and you guys will get to see an awesome video. So we'll catch you.